Welcome back to the Oil Educator. I'm Carrie Lynn. I am your aromatherapist expert for today, and we're going to talk about frankincense. I love frankincense, and I hope that you will love it as much as I do if you haven't tried it before, that you do consider trying it. So, do know that as I share this information with you, that it is not intended to diagnose or prescribe or heal any kind of disease. If you're seeing a doctor, you'll want to make sure that you are still continuing to see your doctor about the various issues and concerns that you have. But do know that essential oils do have great properties that can assist in your well-being and your general overall health. So let's talk about that today. So I'm going to look down at my notes. I have these here just because I want to make sure I cover everything with you today and be able to not leave anything out. But I also don't want to make this real long. I want the information to be short and efficient and quick for you. So you're probably, most of you I think are familiar. You know, I did a poll in our group and to ask if you knew some different things about Facebook, sorry, about frankincense. And I was really excited to see how many of you9 and how many of you knew different things about frankincense. I think it's fascinating. Frankincense is one of the biblical oils. There are actually 9 of them. 10 of them. A couple of them we can no longer get through a couple of companies, and in one company I think I can get one of them, but they can be kind of pricey. It often depends on what's happening in the other countries of where these oils are sourced and whether or not we can get them through customs, all the other stuff. So, but with frankincense, there are the frankincense that we're familiar with is the one that is most mentioned in the Bible as far as translations go and understanding the language, the Hebrew and Greek language. That frankincense that mentioned in the Bible is the frankincense that we are most familiar with, and that Latin name is Boswellia carteri. And that, not that you have to remember that, but when you're looking at essential oils, oftentimes if it's a true pure essential oil, it will have that Latin name on it as well. Now there's 2 others, and we'll talk briefly about them, and you can get a hold of those as well. They all 3 start with Boswellia because that's the genus. They're all the same kind of plant. They come from a resin. We'll talk about that in a minute. And the other one is called Sacra, Boswellia sacra, and then the other one is Boswellia freriana. So they're all very similar. They have similar properties in that they are calming physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. They also can help soothe sore spots and help and repair skin issues, concerns, help settle anxiety and nerves, and also help focus, assisting in your focus when you're concentrating on something, and dealing with grief and sorrow. Frankincense has a very spiritual component to it. It supports the spiritual side of the whole person quite a bit. It's one of the higher frequency oils as well because of that, and was used historically even as far back as 1500 BC, where we've got historical records of frankincense use, always used in religious and spiritual ceremonies. Now, so those are the 3 oils. Those are their similar properties. Now let's talk about how they're different. With the aroma, the Boswellia carteri frankincense, the one we're most familiar with, is fresh, woodsy, warm. It's very light. It's not a heavy, deep smell. The Sacra is warmer. It's a little bit heavier. It's balsamic, smelling slightly spicy, but it's milder than the carteri. Then the freriana is very earthy with citrus notes. I actually like the smell of that one the best, but I use the frankincense carteri the most because that's what's most accessible. Now let's talk about its therapeutic effects and how they're different. The carteri, frankincense that we use the most, is different in that it focuses more on the sore muscles, where the sacra is more for breathing support. So you could use that if you're dealing with tightness in your chest and having breathing issues. It's known to have historical use in supporting asthma and breathing easier through asthma. Furriana is the best for calming, especially itchy skin issues. Again, know that all three of them can help with skin, but that one can specifically help with itchy skin issues. So research has also shown, this is probably what's most exciting to me, is that it has anti-cancerous properties. It has been shown in research to attack cancer cells, and specifically the research is in skin cancer, melanoma, and one other. I'm forgetting the name at the moment. So that, I think, is incredible. So let's talk about how to use them. And all three of these oils can be used as in a diffuser, individually or with other oils. I like to use it alone just because I like the fragrance. I had a friend tell me they like to have all three frankincenses and diffuse them together. I have not tried that, but I want to. Another is to add a carrier oil and use it as a massage oil in the skin. Remember, it's very gentle and easy for and great for the skin, and because it soothes sore muscles, then it's very nice as a massage oil. Another thing is that you can do is burn resin. Now, I don't know if you've seen resin or noticed, and I mentioned this earlier, frankincense comes from the resin of a tree. That's basically the sap of a tree. They let it come out of the tree and let it harden. And so it ends up looking like rocks. And I have a little bit. So this is the frankincense carteri. And I don't know if you can see it very well in the jar. I'll pour it out in my hand. And maybe you can see it. There's several different, I've got, oh, they're gonna fall out. Can you see that? I don't know if it's showing very good in the video, but this is the frankincense resin. Now, I have never done this. I've kept and hoarded this resin because I thought it was so cool to have it, but it can be burned. You can burn this on charcoal to give it a platform to burn and get the same aromatic fragrance as diffusing the essential oil itself. But so that's one way you can use it. Also, remember I mentioned that when talking about these oils, we're dealing with, I'm not talking brand specific. I'm talking about the oils themselves, but I do have two companies that I recommend because of the information I know as far as their research on how they handle their oils and how they source them and guarantee that they are pure. And one of those companies has a frankincense hydrosol, and it comes in a bottle like this. So a hydrosol is basically the water that comes off of the steam distillation process. So they take this and do a steam distillation to get the oil out. Oil and water separates. So when you hit this resin with steam, the oils break down and come out, but the oil and water will separate, and they take the water off of that. And it has some of the components, the constituents of frankincense, and use this, bottle this as a hydrosol or frankincense water. So this is great to use in your skincare. I just take it and spritz my face, even just like this. Feels great. It's light, it's clean, and it's fresh smelling. You can add other oils to it as well that are great for skin. We'll talk about those later. But that's something that you can look at investing in. If you want to know more about that or where I'm getting things, just send me a direct message or tag me or ask a question, and I'll send you the information if you'd like it. Okay, so why... last but not least of what I wanted to share with you today is, again, I'm kind of going over what I recommend as the top 10 must-haves of essential oils, and frankincense is one, and this is one of my favorites because I love it for its skin cleansing, skin properties. I probably use it, two things. When I first discovered frankincense, as far as an essential oil that I could use, it was in research to help someone with a concussion because it is specific for the brain. It helps minimize inflammation and historically has been used with brain injuries. So I used the frankincense, and that would be the carteri because that's what I had access to at the time. The other was in skincare products. So I'll take a drop or two of the frankincense oil and put it in my skincare cream and mix it up and then apply it. I have even just poured a dot in my hand and rub my hands together like this and just pat my skin to get the oil onto my face and neck, and then inhale it. I see Jennifer asked a question. Oh, that's a great question. Respiratory support, which would I diffuse? So specifically, respiratory support is the sacra. Now, any of them have some of those properties, but the sacra is probably the strongest out of the three that would give you the best immune support if you wanted to use frankincense. There are other oils that can do that as well, but that is one of the qualities or properties of frankincense is the sacra specifically is the breathing support. Great question. Thanks, Jennifer. Let's see. Okay, so those are the two reasons why I have, and besides the fact that it's so great, because it's so great for the skin, and it's just calming and soothing to me. I just love to smell it. If I could just smell it all day long, I would. I've even used it as perfume. Just dab a little on behind my ear, on my wrists, and so I can smell it. And something that I just love to do. So hopefully that helps answer some questions. You've learned some new things today. I didn't go back, I think, on some of the things I asked in the poll about the questions. Did you know about probably most recognized frankincense from the Bible because it was one of the gifts the wise men from the East gave baby Jesus, and that it's been used all through the Bible, mentioned over 52 times in specific ceremonies and in a variety of ways. So a lot more there. If you're interested, let me know about this. I do a Oils of the Bible class that talks about all the specific oils and where they're mentioned in the Bible and what they were used for and all kinds of great information like that. But that's for another day.